it's important to see that the body is diverse, but I just want to hear your experiences. And again, I don't even know if I have a question in here. What question was I asking in the middle?
No, I think we got you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm rambling. Go ahead, Linson. You knock away. You get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll share, and then Sabrina, please jump in. I think one of the things that is unique to an Asian American in their discipleship with Jesus is this idea of biculturalism, or even tricultural. Like, you can be a tricultural kid, or you can be an adoptee. So there's like various ways that we enter into the culture, and oftentimes you're kind of like you're kind of in between various cultures. And early on, I'm going to say this, early on, I was taught that that was a really good thing. And like, how to be in this setting, and then you can switch and you can be over here, and, you can do that. And, I realized, yeah, that is a gift to be bicultural. Like, I can bring the gifts of different cultures into one another and help. And, but then I think as I got into my like mid 30s and late 30s, it started to feel less like a gift. And I started getting super tired. Like, I'm like, this is tiring, like trying to be the cultural ambassador for all these different groups to one another, So I'm talking like majority white culture with Indian and Indians, or between Indians, first and second gen, or the South Asian in a kind of a broader Asian circle, or, you just find yourself in all these spaces where you're constantly trying to speak for more than yourself. And in that space, you can get, so you are trying to use it and leverage it, and it's a gift from God. You see all sorts of amazing tricultural leaders in the Bible. Like, they get pulled out of their places of origin, and they're in a brand new place. So whether that's Moses or Daniel or Esther, or you name it, they're doing something in that space that's very, very Joseph. These are all great examples, but at the same time, you get really tired, and you need God to meet you in a very kind of unique way. And oftentimes, unless you're with another Asian American, that need is never addressed or ever brought up or seen as invisible. Or if you do a good job, quote unquote, as act this, you just disappear from every circle you're in, like nobody sees you because you just did a great job just blending in everywhere you go. And at some point, even that hurts, you're like, wow, I feel pretty unnoticed in this whatever setting I'm in. So and Jesus wants to speak to you in all of that, so that's a piece of it. There's so much more, but I'm curious what you think. Yeah,
we are writing to, like, Asian Americans, so second generation and on, definitely third, fourth, fifth. Specifically around second generation, as you're asking about right now, I think I was with I was at an Asian American event, and the parents of one of my friends there were sharing, like, I do. So the parents had immigrated, and they said, I feel for y'all, because when we came to America, we knew it would be hard, and we knew we wouldn't be accepted necessarily as immigrants and as first generation folks. But y'all kids, because you're born here and this is like your world, it makes sense that you wouldn't necessarily, you would expect to be accepted, but then you often aren't, because of racialization, because of otherness, because of, just all these different things. It was just really healing, actually, to hear a first gen person say that, like, that they were, on reflection, I mean, they had figured this out after, living here for a number of years, but they were saying, yeah, I their kids are grown now, and they were like, yeah, but I think as a kid, if you expect to be, kind of, we didn't make the choice, right, to move, right? We didn't make the choice to, so you sort of expect, like, oh, this place will be, but for many of us who grew up in spaces that were not very welcoming, or are just majority without, because, being in the majority gives you blind spots, any kind of majority, right? So, that's gender, that's, ethnicity, ableism, like all that stuff, right? So growing up in a place where people weren't aware of their blind spots, even if they were the most well-intentioned, right? There's just exclusion in different ways, which we go into in the book and stuff. So Yeah, I think we were writing to try and help Asian Americans navigate faith, which, you know, because of like majority culture and just the way faith is expressed often in the West, it's very individual or a particular way. We were trying to say like every people in every time has had to figure out what it means to follow Jesus, has had to discern what it means to follow Jesus from their particular geography, you know, people group, socioeconomic status, like all that stuff. And so just trying to say like, yeah, as Asian Americans, so yeah, there's plenty of diversity. There are some commonalities around like communal, high value for communal, the families having immigrated or been refugees for many people. That's not as true for adoptees, of course, but there are some commonalities. We were trying to write to some of those while also holding like the diversities, right? Like there's the cultural conflict, generational conflict, like in the parents chapter, you know, religious diversity, some of these different things. Racialization obviously is a huge, I mean, that's the reason why Asians are lumped together, right? Asians were basically defined by exclusion in immigration law. They actually had a series of court cases that figured out who's not allowed, you know, and they basically lumped the continent of Asia and said, you're not allowed. So we're trying to like, I think, write to tell stories of what it's looked like for people to discern following Jesus. We were trying not to say, this is how you do it, right? Because of the diversity, because of like differences and some of those things. And many of us have been just like prescribed so much, you know, like, so we're trying to just tell it through stories.